Ladies and gentlemen, we have been 24/7 on this. I've been doing nothing but discussing this at levels and at speeds that I never thought possible. The world is insatiable when it comes to matters of this. I just got done with my dear friend Sean Atwood in the UK, and they are absolutely beyond belief. They are losing their minds over this. Talked to a friend of mine in Moscow, an American expat, and he said he could not believe that in Moscow, the number of teenagers who showed this sense of love for Charlie in Moscow. He said it could not believe what he was seeing. It blew his and their mind. And this is what we're seeing right now. This is something that is incredible. But today, ladies and gentlemen, what just got even more fascinating is new information, new testimony, new theories, supposition, conjecture, new thinking that dealt specifically with the idea of could there have been another shooter, another version of this rendition? Could there have been something other than what you were told existed? Okay? You understand what I'm saying? Let me try this again. I cannot tell you in any more how important this is for you to grasp. But let me see if I can tell you this. There is evidence now based upon experts, as is usually the case, experts who come forward and say, you know what? There's something about this which we want to bring to your attention. There was one video I saw today of a Marine sniper, somebody trained as a Marine sniper. And he said that based upon the evidence, and he went through it, that this that this wound, which was purportedly listed and described as an entrance wound, was in fact an exit wound. Think about what I just told you. What would you do if that were true? That it could be indeed an exit wound. If that's true, that changes everything. Everything. Do you understand what I'm saying? If your evidence, if you as a juror are told that this Tyler Robinson shot from this way, but you have this is Lee Harvey Oswald. If you have a round coming behind him, this is exploding. Now, what happens is when you say this, people have a difficult time because they're asking, what am I supposed to do with this information? What am I supposed to do with information that you're telling me is inconsistent with that which was provided to me? What do I do? What do I say? How do I comply? How do I comport? How do I deal with this? What is it that I'm supposed to do regarding this? Regarding this, are you saying that there was somebody else? That's exactly what we're trying to say. How could that be? Well, did he have anything to do with this? I don't know. Did he have anything to do with this? We don't know. Was there somebody else covering for him? We don't know. And the question that you have to ask yourself is, would you just listen first? Don't worry about how this fits in, but listen very carefully. Again, I just spoke with Sean Atwood. I'll be having this up very, very soon, but I want to tell you about something which is important, which right now is the time, my friend. I mentioned this to you before, but one of our great sponsors, My Patriot Supply, since day one, has been a part of preparing you for the absolute worst. They survive. Oh, they have some great products that you might need for camping, but that's not what they're for. If there is ever a civil war, civil unrest, false flags, blackouts, EMP, riots, whatever you want to call it, it's not tomorrow's nightmare. It's today's fear, today's reality. You see, the systems that we trusted are crumbling, they're cracking. 1 week without food, and you'll learn fast. You'll find out that cash, credit, Bitcoin, diamonds, gold, doesn't matter. It won't feed your family. Survival is in theory, it's primal, it's primordial, it's instinctual. Food, water, energy, ammo. That's why My Patriot Supply's 3-month food kit matters. Over 2,000 calories a day, 22 meal varieties, shelf life up to 25 years. And right now you get 4 weeks free, a $247 bonus. The world has changed. Hunger is the oldest weapon of control. Don't wait for disaster to prove it. Preparation isn't paranoia, it's survival. Click the link in the description in this video. Preparewithlionel.com. That's our link. That's your ignition switch to securing your food, securing your family, and also securing your future. Preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com. Now, today, my friends, I love when someone comes up and says, let me give you an alternative theory. I listen to the DA read the charges. I love when they say aggravated murder, and obstruction of justice and witness tampering because he spoke with somebody after the fact. They took 3 to 4 different camera angles. 3 to 4. How many of you, my friends, saw this go up, this shirt? How many of you saw a shirt move up and jerk up? How many of you saw that? How many of you saw a shirt kind of fly up? It looked as though something happened. People were saying immediately, well, what that was a, how do I say that? That was a ricochet or a deflection off of the under the armor that he was wearing. Where people got this from, I have no idea, but that's what they said. That it was from this armor. Okay, fair enough. And they believed that. Yes, they did. That the bullet hit and went up, and that's this here. That everyone, not everyone, many people learned more than I say that is an exit wound. An exit wound. Here. Right here. Right here. This part right here. That it went through, and through deflections or bouncing or whatever came out this way. Where is that round? I don't know. But then I say, wait a minute. The crack of the rifle over there, I think, comported and timed perfectly with this reaction. That makes me wonder about it. I just saw perhaps something that is, I can't believe what I just wrote. Does it matter that much? You can't be serious. I'm going to leave this, let this go as some attempt at humor. Does the fact of an additional shooter, a conspiracy, not the lone shooter, does it matter much? We're going to let that go and say, leave humor and comedy to the professionals. I'm hoping that's comedy. I hope that is. I hope that was somebody saying, hey, look at me. I'm going to say something stupid. And mission accomplished. So what happens is, that's the part that makes me wonder. Now, as various folks, one in particular, there is a Marine sniper who was trained, notices that a couple of things. Let me try to explain this. Charlie apparently was wearing an earpiece here. This is an earpiece here. And he had this device here of some sort. And then later on, he had this underneath his shirt. And there was maybe a microphone here. But the idea was that he had a lot of this wire underneath his shirt. And you could even see it. At some point, you could see this fly out. You could see the earpiece fly out and move. Because this was connected underneath his shirt, you could see the shirt move as this became taut and expanded and connected to the earpiece that, for whatever reason, flew off this way. So that might explain it. It's not that critical, but it gives you an idea. But one of the most important things, as they looked at every conceivable angle, there's like four or five different angles. The one which is the most important was Charlie's looking this way. It was an angle this way, because it showed what was behind him here. Now imagine I'm looking here, but to my right in the back, I'm Charlie facing the audience. To my right and back are buildings, windows, buildings, and there's one little flash, one flash, or a reflection. It could be muzzle fire. It was just one frame. And it was at or about the time when this happened, when this reaction, at that time, it was suggested, or it is suggested, or is being posited, P-O-S-I-T. It was being suggested, advanced, that maybe the reason for that is something a little different. Maybe what we're seeing, maybe what's happening here is something different. Maybe this is something indicating another shooter. Now, if that is true, what questions would you ask? This is when I get to tell who's really involved in this, who's good, who knows what they're doing. What questions would you want to ask? Not to debunk that. Or maybe you want to debunk it. But what questions do you think are interesting regarding this? That's the most important story. What do you think is the most important? What are the issues? What are the stories? What are those, how do I say this? What are those pieces of information which are critical for you to consider with all that is going on right now? That's the issue. The question is, as somebody laughingly suggested, what difference does it make? So somebody actually asked that. Ask that. What difference does that make? So we're going to pretend that that was legitimate. Let me ask you, what difference do you think it makes, dear friend? What? What difference do you think it makes? Tell me, dear friends. Tell me. What difference does it make? You heard today, imagine we are in trial. And imagine, and by the way, this isn't, in quote, support of this fellow. I have no feelings one way or another. I mean, I hate the idea of the killer is what's the problem. But. And I know people get very upset because of that. They always think that somehow they think that you're enjoying this, that you're supporting these people, that you're whatever it is. I don't know why. I'm not sure why, but in any event. But what difference do you think it would make? Imagine you're in court and you're representing him. And they say their whole case was that he was the lone shooter. He was the shooter. He was it. He was the shooter. And that he acted alone. That he acted alone and he was a part of this world, if you will, but he was. And you say, let me give you a counter theory to this. Let me show you a different theory. Let me show you a different theory which nobody's thought about before. There was somebody else. Now the question is, how would that work? Would he know this? If I told him, because I mean, you have to think, Could he have been, theoretically, could he have been involved in this, thinking he was the lone person involved, thinking he was it? Could he have been the lone shooter, thinking he was the lone shooter, when in fact he wasn't? Could he have been what people use the term a patsy? Could he have thought, we're going to put you there, you're going to catch the heat, you're going to catch the heat, and you're going to be responsible for taking all of the responsibility of this? You understand it? Yes, I do. You are. Got it. You were the one. Yes, I am. But in fact, the professional team is elsewhere. The professional. Now, what most people do is they have to ask themselves, and this is where it gets into trouble, why would they do that? And we get into this question all the time: cui bono, or cui prodest? Who benefits? And they love to ask that question: who in their right mind would benefit? Why would anybody want to do this? Why would anybody suggest this? Why? How does this work? Now, let me explain a couple of things to you, which is important, very, very critical for you to understand and to grasp. There is something that is not being talked about. Alex Jones talked about it. Judge Napolitano talked about it. Tim Dillon talked about it. Everybody and their mother talked about it. And that is the role and the aspect of Israel. Have you heard this? If you have not, you're not paying attention. And it goes something like this. It is suspected, I'll try to give you as many versions of this. Some people suggest that Israel, AIPAC, and others, not really AIPAC, but Israel, was responsible for the bulk of the monstrous amount of money that Charlie Kirk was handling. 150, 180 million a year. I mean, this is 80 million. Who knows? This is bigger than anything. So people are suggesting, and I'm giving you a kind of an overview. I'm giving you an overview of what's happening. But other people are suggesting that at one particular time, Charlie was more dutiful in portraying, in advancing the Israeli line, so to speak. Part of his prototypical conservative worldview. And that something happened. Something happened. Charlie was out and about. Charlie was in Tampa for one of his turning points USA meetings. He was with Tucker Carlson. There was Dave Smith. There was a debate. Dave Smith against a Zionist. Tucker was exceedingly critical of not only Israel, but also Bill Ackman, the monster hedge fund, the person responsible for basically removing Gay, whatever her name was, the president of Harvard and others. He was an absolute zealous Zionist, some would say. And that they were furious with this, furious with Charlie, furious. And according to Max Blumenthal, the argument is that even Bibi Netanyahu said, Charlie, I want to speak with you, and Charlie's feeling this compunction. Maybe some would say too big for his britches. Maybe he figured, I'm going to finally deal with this. I'm finally going to address this. Or maybe I just had enough. Or maybe I don't need them. Maybe I'm so big that I just don't need these people anymore. Maybe I don't need Bibi or Israel or whatever. Maybe I'm just going to act on my own. I'm just going to act on my own. I'm just going to be, I don't know what happened. I know it was suggested that a lot of folks were coming to the aid, if you will, or not the A, but to the side, I should say, of BB, and they were saying things, or excuse me, of Charlie, and they're saying, "Why are you doing this?" Young people were saying, "Why are you involved in this? Why, in the name of God, are you involved in this? Don't you understand that we," and a lot of people, were feeling this absolutely powerful feeling. I hear things on a regular basis. I cannot believe what I'm hearing. I heard a talk radio host seriously say, that how do I say this? It's good that Israel finally handles Gaza and get. Sorry about that. That they were saying it's good that he gets the job done. Go in there and finish off Gaza, the Palestinians. I mean, after all, this is war. Now, if I didn't know better, when I hear somebody say that today, I'm thinking, are you on the payroll? I don't know. Again, there's nothing illegal with this. There's the climate payroll. There's the Second Amendment payroll. There's the big pharma payroll. Loads of people on that one. There are many, many payrolls. Don't be unfair in pointing too much at Israel as though they're the only ones who've learned the mastery and the benefit of this thing called not propaganda, but in any event. So the story is that Charlie was feeling not trepidatious, but also wondering, am I doing the right thing? People are asking him, Charlie, are you really a Christian? Are you? So finally he said, I can't do this anymore. According to Max Blumenthal and others, BB said, I want you to come to Israel. We want to show you. And he said, no. And with that move, the largest conservative young movement in the United States, without a question, that they may or may not have funded before, may or may not have been funded indirectly, has now turned their back on him. So people say this made folks furious. There were suggestions that Bibi Netanyahu, when he was, I think it was Boris Johnson, said that when he went to use the toilet, he left a listening device, supposedly. They're suggesting that Israel left stingrays or surveillance equipment around the White House. Now, I hate to break it to a lot of people, but one of the things that our own Bill Casey, head of the CIA, was quite fond of saying was, he reminds you, when he used to go to different places, he would put listening devices into couches and sofas and chairs with little needles. So it's one of the things that spooks do, that people do. You don't know how much we do. So remember, I don't get angry about this. I just accept it. They're very, very vigorous, very, very aggressive in the pursuit of their particular claim. Okay. The argument then became that Charlie was worried about his personal safety, worried about maybe he's gone, the point of no return. Word has it also that President Trump was worried about his own safety, his own well-being. And then Candace Owens, who has got the biggest mouth of anybody. And people say, I love her bravery. I think sometimes it's foolhardy. Basically, after Charlie was dispatched, murdered, and after his wife is trying to salvage this organization that Charlie had worked so hard to put together over a period of time, Candace is telling everybody, you don't understand, Charlie told me this, Charlie was worried about this, Charlie did this, Charlie didn't like this one, Charlie... And I'm thinking Erica might say, shut up. You don't speak for Charlie. I don't want you to speak for Charlie. You're going to destroy us. We're trying to maintain, to resurrect if you will, but recover. And we don't need you making us a bigger target by virtue of what you're saying. Stop doing this. Stop saying this. Stop. But that Candace can't do that because Candace is brave. She's got a big mouth. She says whatever she wants, and she's angry. And I think right now the focus should be, I think you all agree, the focus should be on people specifically who could help draw in these thousands of new young voters, new registrants, new participants, new registered voters, and change the complexion, change the face of the American electoral system. Absolutely. Critical. So the issue then becomes, and this is even more important, the issue then becomes, well, what happens now? What happens for Charlie? Well, a couple of things are. There's some side issues, and I think my worst fear came about because I told you this is going to be the most important thing that we need to do is to focus on what needs to be done to promote Charlie's message and to promote the TPUSA. That's the most important. Not this other stuff, but we're too late for that. Stephen Miller and others are saying we're going to crush the left wing. We're going to crush them. I don't know what that means. Pam Bondi, who embarrassed herself by saying that hate crimes are not protected, it is so sad for the Attorney General to say that. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. People are screaming, and I have, let's go after Antifa. Now, let me tell you what they're going to tell you about that. People are going to say, Antifa's small potatoes. Antifa's a bunch of nuts and people who wear rags and helmets, and fine. If they're so small, they should be easy. Don't turn your back on them. I mean, I'm not saying they're the Gambino crime family, but what I'm suggesting is don't turn your back on them. Don't turn your back on them, and don't just walk away from them. It's very, very serious that you do something about them in the meantime. You also have right now people who are, it's delicious to see them screaming and yelling, how come I lost my job? Because you're an idiot. And now you know what it feels like we had to go through when we lost our jobs and our positions, and we couldn't go to work and go on public transportation because you screamed and yelled about that stupid COVID thing. Well, payback's a bitch, and now you're going to feel it. And I'm sorry, I'm petty, I'm vindictive. Okay, fine. You're also going to see these Discord folks who are going to say, what exactly did Charlie... Was this rifle even fired? We don't know anything. Also, I'm sorry, Charlie. Tyler. When Tyler was arraigned today, did you see his affect? He looks, you'll love this one, MK Ultra-esque. Very flat affect. Even like he's, I don't know what the word is. Kind of sedated, maybe through some type of anxiolytic or whatever. I don't know. But it's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And all of these things I found to be so fascinating to me because there's so many moving pieces. But going back to what I thought, how do we know? What about this scenario? What if Tyler never shot anybody? What if he says, I never got a round off? Or I did get a round off, but you're telling me somebody else is there? Yeah. You're going to be the fall guy. And when you bring this up, you're going to be told you're a conspiracy theorist. You're weird. You're sick. You're strange. There's something wrong with you. You always complicate things. You just can't leave well enough alone. You've always got to go in there and mix it up with your lunacy because that's what you do. Okay, let him say that. But there's so much stuff that is out there, my friends. So much stuff. And also, there is a fight to see who wins the heart and minds of TPUSA. Is it Ben Shapiro? Oh, dear God, no. For obvious reasons. And also, I hate to say this, Turning Point is a Christian organization. I wouldn't be the right person to run that because I'm not religious. And one of the things I think one of the core values, one of the core aspects of this is that you have to enjoy a certain degree of religiosity, but also to be Christian. And Ben Shapiro would. The notion of Nick Fuentes is no. He would cause too much distraction. A groiper in there, whatever it is. But focus on what's happening right now. Because two things happen. Number one, the explosion of this love, the explosion of love for Charlie is something that I don't think anybody even imagined, ever even imagined or could have anticipated. That's one thing. And next, if it is shown that somehow there is indeed an Israeli connection. And let me say this right now. I don't have any indication of Italy, Israel, India, Spain, or Portugal, or anybody, or the clan, or the mob being involved in this. Not that it couldn't be. I just haven't heard anything. I just haven't. But the question is simply this. What will happen next? Sparky says, what if TPUSA is forced to have Ben Shapiro take Charlie Kirk's place instead of Erica Kirk? Imagine that. Well, Sparky, that would kill recruitment. It would destroy the organization. But then again, if indeed Israel, as some people are suggesting, actually funds that, I think they would have jurisdiction to call the shots. Our grandchildren might learn the truth later. Maybe. Do you know the truth about JFK? Nope. What about Bobby Kennedy? Nope. You don't have any nope. Isn't that something? Isn't that something, how that works? It's fascinating, is it not? So what I want you to do is I want you to think about this, and I want you to but research everything. Spend all the time that you have, all the time that's available, doing everything that you need to research this. These are the questions you have to ask. These are critical questions you have to ask. You understand what I'm saying? This is the most important thing. So let me just tell you something. I am going to be on tonight. Mrs. L tonight, think of her as my, what would you call yourself? My executive liaison. She's going to be representing, of course, that august organization, Lynn's Warriors. She'll be on WABC tonight from 1 a.m. ET. Tune in. She is a barn burner. She is spunky. Anyway, that's tonight at 1 a.m. In addition, that's that. Also, I'm going to be on from 1 to 5 talking about this as well. We've got some surprise guests coming up on the WABC channel, which people want to be. I want you to scour everything. I want you to do me a favor and turn cable news off. You are never going to learn anywhere remotely truthful what cable news. By the way, the word also is a rumor is that ABC is going to be hiring influencers versus journalists and the like. The day of going to be the Mary Richards, to work at a TV network, to be a reporter, it's over with. It's dead. It's finished. It's through. Done. Done, I say. Done. Done like you cannot believe. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Don't forget to follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. Don't forget to follow here right now, Lionel Nation. And also, our sister, our joint, if you will, our other channel, Lionel Legal. I've got brand new drops on that in the most important and most critical story I think anybody's ever seen. This has so many moving parts. It is the most fascinating story there is, bar none. I've never seen anything like this. Anything. And Sparky says, by the way, Israel was a huge funder of TPUSA. That's what I said. That's why they got bent out of shape when Kirk stopped taking their money. That's what I said. Now, do you think they went so far as to have him dispatched? There's no evidence of that. None. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. That doesn't mean that Charlie wasn't scared. But right now, there's no evidence. The only evidence that we have, we'll see, because if the only evidence that is out there regarding potential alternative ballistic theories as well, if they're never adduced or recognized in court, they'll just go the way of, seed oil hysteria, whatever. I don't know, but we'll know the truth. We'll know the truth. All right, my dear friends, have a great and a glorious night. Thank you so much. Don't forget tonight, WABC, tune in 7:70 a.m. on your dial. And don't forget also those wonderful folks, our great, great sponsors, our great, great friends at preparewithlionel.com. You get a free 4-week emergency food kit. We've never had this deal before. This is it. And when I tell you this, I don't know when they end. I go online and go, oh, it's over. They don't give me a heads up. They don't say, last week, I'm sorry, I don't know. Because the deals change so fast because the volume and the inquiries and the sales, because right now, as you know, things are pretty bad. All right, my friends, have a great and glorious day. Thank you so much for being with us. Until we meet again, I should say. Until then, remember, the monkey's dead. Oh, and then later on tonight, at about 9:15, 9:30, the Sean Atwood performance that I just had with him, we'll drop it here for you to see what we did. So make sure you subscribe to Lionel Nation, because you're going to want to see that. I had Sean pissing in his pants laughing. Why? It's a gift. All right, my friend, talk to you soon. Don't ever change. And until then, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.